Okay, this is my very first podcast, and it has been a journey. It has been a long journey. I think I had some introduction sessions, some feedback sessions with a small group of women that I trust. It's been about 6 or 7 years ago, and it's like you're going through this journey. It's like, when are you going to get to it? But we're here. But today we wanted to talk about the healing journey and healing from the inside out. The name of my podcast is Chaotic Vibes, and it is about finding peace in the chaos of getting through the hard stuff. Life doesn't stop. Pain doesn't stop, trauma doesn't stop, but at the same time, we have to figure out how to survive. Um, and that vibe is, you know what, that thing inside of you that says that there's something better, there is something more. And I don't know what it is, I don't know why it is. All I know is that there is a beacon, there is a call within me that says there is something more.
Yes.
And when you can get with like-minded people, and you ever had those encounters where you catch eye with somebody, you might not know them, or you're having a bad day and you look to the right, you look to the left, and you see someone and they just give you that warm smile. And you might catch a glimpse. And in that glimpse, there's this unsaid connection that I get it. That's that vibe. That's that thing that you can't really explain, but you can feel it. It is that thing that it can only be experienced. And that's what chaotic vibes is. It's about the journey of finding peace in the chaos. And in my journey of finding peace in my healing, and I'll touch on a little bit, and I'll have Dr. Tamika help us unpack the fundamental understanding of what is a belief system. How do our identities start? Where? Is it truly our voice? So, just a little bit of background about myself. I am the oldest of four. Um, my my youngest, I have two sisters, 11, the next one under me is 11 months, believe it or not. She's only 11 months younger than me. She's 10 months younger than me because she's in October and I'm in December. So for 2 months, a month and a half, we're the same age.
Wow.
Um, and then I have another sister that's 4 years younger and a brother that's 10 years younger. But our foundation was rough. We grew up in an inner city project in one of America's low income housing projects. When I was growing up, I didn't have anybody that I knew that was sober. Maybe I had an aunt who I thought who she had a job. She used to have a job and she worked and her kids always looked nice and those kind of things. But my mother's an alcoholic. My father, my both of my grandmothers,
Mm.
my grandfather's both absent. I lived right next door to my father, believe it or not, and I had a father that abandoned me. So I grew up with abandonment issues. I loved my father. I internalized growing up in a foster system. It's inevitable, right? Tragedy happened where my baby sister, fell out of one of the third floor project windows. And she was, I believe, around 2 years old. And being the oldest, to this day, I can remember, I can hear her scream. I can hear her
Wow.
screams. And so I grew up very angry, very bitter, very, very protective. And throughout my life, I was told that you was going to be nothing but like your mother, your father. You were going to just be, have a whole lot of kids, no husband, welfare. And for a long time, I believed that. And it, of course, this tragedy struck where it changed everything. So, in my journey of healing, what I have found is when the song says, I've searched high and low, and the only friend that I've found was the one in Jesus. Um, that is it. It's been a long road. It's been a long road. And I say all that to say in our first episode, before we start bringing in stories, because I believe it's through our stories that we will heal each other. It is through vulnerability, it's through accountability, and getting away from blame and victim and understanding that God chose us.
Mm.
I was always very insecure. And to this day, I'm very insecure. But when I walk in rooms, people always pull me aside and say, you have such a presence and you carry such a confidence in you that is admired by people. But I had to go back to, I am nothing without God. So I believe and I trust in the man within me. And it is that that has brought me. It is that word. It is that spirit. It is those convictions. It's that vibe that wouldn't let me quit. It was
Mm.
my faith that every time I wanted to quit, God sent a ram in the bush.
Wow.
So now that I'm on my journey, I'm committed to being to somebody's ram in the bush. I'm committed to being that smile. So as we start this podcast, I really want to unpack identity, right? Identity, because so many of us are attached to an identity that we've been given. It is not necessarily the identity of who we are, right? And there's a stark difference. And my understanding is that our developmental years is in the from 0 to about 8 or 9 years old. And I could be wrong, but that's why I have the doctor in the building and I'm going to have her introduce herself. But to help us understand how our identity is developed, how it plays out in our life. Sometimes we want to do things and you have the best intentions, but a lot of times we do things we don't want to do that we don't feel good, but we're just defaulting in this autopilot mode. But there's hope because our identity can be unlearned and we can relearn. And I have a guest today, the lovely Dr. Tamika Jackson, and I will give her a chance to introduce herself. Dr. Tamika, if you can just tell us a little about who you are, what your profession is, and help us unpack the journey of understanding who we are.
Absolutely. First of all, Kenyatta, thank you for inviting me to be on this inaugural episode of Chaotic Vibes. I am so proud of you and just hearing you begin to tell your story really touched, and it's a reason why I do what I do, right? I
Mm,
feel a deep calling to help women, especially Black women, to find their way back home to themselves, to find their
mm,
way back home to, you said that God within, that light within, that divinity
mhm,
that's not just in some of us, but it's in all of us, helping us to clear through all of the noise, all of the messages that have been placed on us that have caused us
mhm,
to internalize a sense of inferiority or inadequacy and help us to really rise into the fullness of who God has
mm.
called us to be. And so
Right.
I do that in the form of serving as a psychologist. So I'm a licensed psychologist with a private practice in Sacramento, California. I have been in private practice for the last 13 years and have been working in the mental health field probably for the last 20 years.
Wow.
In addition to the one to one work as a therapist, I also lead retreats for women of color using a variety of healing modalities. So, creative
Mm,
journaling, soul collage is another method that I use, using nature as art as a way to just help us tap into some of the things that
mm,
words alone just can't do.
right.
Sometimes, right, the body needs other ways to remember who we are
Mm,
at our core. And so that is
mm,
the crux of what I do. And like you, I have had my own journey of feeling a sense of inadequacy, being just mired with insecurities and shrinking back. And I'm in a phase where I am just trying to live into the commitment of no longer shrinking and
right.
allowing my soul to authentically express its truth. But it's hard because those old scripts, they constantly are coming in, right? And we constantly have to be able to push back against that, get still, and
Yes.
remember the truth about who we are.
Mm, that's it. That's it right there. And
Yeah.
we live in a world that is, it just reaffirms the messages. and it's hard
Absolutely.
to get out of it. And that's why sisterhood and the things and the work that we do is so important. And
Right.
we're reminded that our work is bigger than me, it's bigger than us, and that's why we're here. You know, sometimes it's stepping into the when if your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough.
That's it.
So thank you for being committed to the yes. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My pleasure. The yes, and then the continued journey because it doesn't stop, right? This is not a
Doesn't
destination we're trying to get to, but it's about continuing to make the choice, to make the commitment to the
Mm.
evolution of you,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. You know, I heard something a little while ago, destination, and it just stuck with me. And I've been kind of rehearsing this and changing. The journey is the destination.
That's it.
The
That's it.
journey is the destination.
I
So
love that.
definitely.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm. So help us understand because and part of my journey, what I've had to do, and I've heard people, I've just been guided by the spirit. I haven't had official therapy. I want to bring my daughter on. We had a conversation where she's insisting, Mom, you need therapy. You need a therapist. And I'm going,
We all do. We all do.
I don't need a therapist. I'm like, the Holy Spirit is my therapist. Is my therapist, and but she left me with a question, and I'm hoping we can finish start to do
Okay.
the episode. And she said, "You're so focused on the answer, but you need to focus on the question." Right? She left
Mm.
me with that. And I said, I hope Tamika will partner with us. And she's like, because these conversations are so vulnerable, they're sensitive.
Yeah.
Um, you being the first stop is the best stop. So, in my journey, I've had to do a lot of childhood regression healing.
Hmm.
And my first step is when I started to realize I had to go deeper, go deeper. I've gone all the way back to a point in my life when I was about maybe 6, 7.
Okay.
And I remember being in the environment that we lived in. There was a lot of yelling, a lot of shouting and swearing. And I remember I wanted to go outside and play.
Hmm.
And I was riddled with fear because of the beatings or the yelling and all the things. And I remember in this little hallway, I was pacing back and forth and I was trying to convince myself it's okay. Go ask to go outside. You're not going to get in
Mm.
trouble. You're not going to get in trouble. And this scene in my mind and where I feel like my fear really, where I was stuck, it was
Right.
about that age. And I remember going and saying, Can I go outside? And the response was, get the F out of my face.
Mm.
What the F makes you think? Go sit your ass down, you know? And it was
Ooh.
that. So in my life, when I was in certain situations, I would freeze or
Yes.
be afraid to speak up or advocate for myself, or I just didn't feel valued and I would shrink. So in my journey, I had to go all the way back to my childhood.
Hmm.
And then there's these, I call them the red marks. The red marks. You got green, 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 everything's good, but then you have those red marks where you're stuck.
That.
I
Yep.
had to go to the red marks. So help me understand or help our audience understand just again, how's it all start? And how
Yeah.
the developmental process works and how it plays out in our life.
Absolutely. That story, I just felt it all in my heart, like my whole body tightened
Mm,
up as you were explaining that. First of all, when you were talking about just this desire to be free, to go outside, to play, right? That's your birthright. That's all of our
mm,
birthrights, right? To have a sense of freedom. And so
mm,
your heart knowing that this is what I want, right? Okay, let me try to, I don't feel like I can just go grab it, right? So already there's some limitations that I'm holding on to. And then the pacing
mm,
back and forth, just trying to regulate your nervous system, trying to get enough
mhm,
courage to face your aunt, right? And you finally got it. It took so much to get to that point, only to be, bam, just smacked right down. And it's one
mhm,
thing if that happened one time. That one time could be something that could internalize a message of my voice doesn't matter. right? But I
Mm,
imagine in some of these, when you describe the environment, this might have been a repeated experience for
mhm,
you, right? This
mhm,
repeated, and
mhm.
part of how these beliefs form is in repetition. And so
Mm,
if you are repeatedly hearing this message that I don't have time for you, get out of
mm,
my face, go sit down somewhere. As children, our brains are like sponges. So we are just constantly taking in, what we hear, what we don't hear, what we're feeling, and we're making meaning of it. And so
mm,
your brain started to lay this pathway that I'm not that important. My needs don't matter,
mm.
right? I shouldn't bother people. I should keep myself small. I should shrink back. I should stay out of the way. And that
Yes.
doesn't just, and maybe as a child, that helped you in that environment, right? It was like, you better be quiet because you don't want what's coming from auntie or whoever else. But then
Mm-hmm.
as you go into adulthood, if those pieces don't get healed, it shows up in relationship, right? So now I'm afraid to ask a partner for what I want. I'm
Right.
afraid to set a boundary. I'm allowing things to happen that don't feel in alignment, but I'm scared. So these
Right.
beliefs that get set in childhood, they echo
Mm,
into adulthood, right? It comes out in how we parent and how we
right.
partner and how we show up as friends and just how we move in the world,
Right. Right.
right?
Right. Right. And
And I
that's
think,
it. That's it right there. And then you end up in situations where you want, like you said, you want to show up a certain way, but then you have this paralyzing fear that don't allow you.
right,
That gets compounded over the years. But then
absolutely.
there's that sense of shame that comes with it. There's that
Yes,
guilt there, and then it just gets compounded and compounded, and you just get stuck in life. And
absolutely.
I just got to the point where when the pain hurts so much is either for me, then I started to get into, I strayed away from alcohol. I
Hmm.
didn't want to be an alcoholic.
Hmm.
So my sisters, like my sister Kwame, like they've never touched alcohol. They don't, they despise it.
Yep.
Me, I'm a little bit more risky. I
Okay.
like to drink. I like to party. I like music. I'm always the life of the party. So, but I was always conscious not to become an alcoholic.
Hmm.
Never touch drugs because I saw what it did to my family.
Right.
But I ended up being addicted to gambling, right?
Mm.
Gambling comes in, and it was do or die. It was like, Lord, I don't want to live this life anymore.
Hmm.
I just don't. I don't want to live this life anymore. But that's what it was. It was pain that says either you're going to change your life
Yeah.
or you're going to die.
Yes. Yeah.
And you start the journey.
That
You
rock bottom
start
moment.
the journey, the rock
Yeah.
bottom moment, you
Something
know.
that you said that I wanted to go back to was just how that freeze that happens, right? Like I want something different, but I just like my body just won't let me push through. And
Mhm.
that's real, right? There's a saying that our issues live in our tissues. So it's not
Mm,
just stuff in your brain, like literally your body absorbs these traumas, absorbs these shocks. And so
mm,
even when the mind is wanting to do something different, it has become so cemented in the body that it can't
mm.
move, right? And so that is
It's a
why,
real thing.
therapy is definitely helpful to talk through it, but we also need these somatic practices that help us release what the body is holding, right? These
Mm,
these things that go beyond just words.
right.
So people that do yoga, right? Or people that do these other body practices that are helping to release the things that your body has been storing that you don't
Hmm.
even know, right? A lot of the health issues that manifest for us down the road are from trauma that's been absorbed and's gotten stuck,
Right, right.
right?
And that is it. And part of it is, and I think the other important thing is I was in a situation where I didn't know how to communicate.
Mm,
I didn't know how to express. So I literally could feel like I would have these emotional outbursts. I was a
mm-hmm,
fighter. I fought
mm-hmm.
everybody. I cursed everybody. I was a little demon, but I was so angry. I was so angry, but I was a child. And that experience that I'm talking about, I was like 6, 7, 8 years old, right?
Yeah.
So from that, it plays out in the relationships. Now I don't know how to show up. I don't know how to express myself. You know, you feel this tightness come out, and it's like you feel the pressure building, 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 and before you know it, it's just I done let all kind of
Lost all
fire
control.
hell.
Yes.
So you're breaking relationships. You want love, you feel love, you have an idea of what love is. I know my mom loves me. I know what that love
Sure.
is, but not being able to communicate, not being able to do those things. So for a long time, people stayed away from me because I will curse you out. I will curse the hell out
Mm,
you. I was
hmm.
very protective because I had my younger sisters
Right.
to protect. Um, but then you learn that you can still be who you are, but you
Yes.
you just have to decide how you're going to show up.
That's it.
And when you realize that I can't have loving relationships,
Hmm.
I'm abusing my children, I'm verbally abusing my kids. On one hand, I want them to be strong and independent because what I understand is that the world is not going to protect you.
That's it.
People are not going to protect you. People are not going to speak up for you. You have to learn this for yourself. So I
Right.
raised them very hard, right? But at the same time, very loving because I
Hmm.
wanted to give them the love that I wanted. I
Yes.
didn't want them to feel what I felt, but I did the best that I could.
Right.
So although they're all very independent, they're all doing very well, they're also struggling too with some
Hmm.
of those anger
Yes.
that they were the end result. They were my mat. They were my garbage can. They were the ones that I
Mm.
lashed out on the most.
Yes.
So now I am at a place where I'm trying to restore and help show them that change is possible.
Mm.
It's not easy
Yeah.
because every day, and what I find is that every day I am my enemy. It's
Mm.
the voices in my head that says that I can't.
Yes.
It's the voices in my head that tells me that I am to be seen and not heard,
Right.
right?
Right.
So now I realize, you know what? I don't have to fight the world. I have to fight myself. And
Yeah.
I have to learn to love myself.
Right.
And that's been the journey. And I just want people out there to understand that it's not just you, right? We think it's the decisions we make, but a lot of our decisions is autopilot. As
Yes.
the doctor here has said, you want to, but it's in your mind, it's in your body, it's in
Yes.
your psyche. You are literally fighting an uphill battle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And,
You have,
we're just talking about the beliefs that get shaped in the home, right?
hmm
But then
yeah,
you have beliefs that come through culture, beliefs that come
mhm,
through religion, beliefs that come through the historical forces, the socio-political
mhm.
forces,
Right,
and especially as Black people, right?
right.
Like those messages are coming intergenerational messages,
Intergenerational,
right? That are
intergenerational.
conveying a place of inferiority and lack. So it's
Mm,
it's not just fighting whatever you got in your home, but it's going through all these layers that have
right,
told you lies, right? And
right,
so it's
right.
learning, how do I begin to defy these lies? But I think the first part is slowing down enough to just pause and recognize, hold on, like
Mhm,
how I'm showing up and who I actually am. There's a disconnect. And you had that moment of pause,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
Because otherwise we just think this is just me,
Right,
right?
it
You
is.
just become the angry person who beats everybody up. That's just me, right? And we own it. These beliefs become our identity,
Right, right.
right?
And right. And Kwame being less, she was always Kwame. She was
Uh-huh.
always very scary. She was always very timid. She used to always hide behind me. But for her, she, I think, had a little bit more protection and freedom, right?
Hmm.
And for me, and it's so interesting how you can see we grew up in the same house, but it shows up so different,
Yes.
all of us.
Yes.
And we just have to give ourselves permission to do that. But the thing is, when you're in survival mode,
That's it.
there is no time.
Yeah, that's it.
When when you're worrying about the basic need, food, shelter, clothing, there is no pause.
No, no. And as children, right? So there's the part of our brain, the amygdala, which is like our where all those big emotions are housed, right? And that's
Hmm.
kind of that fight or flight place.
Hmm.
When you're a kid and you're in a really chaotic environment and you're constantly being bombarded with these negative messages or with chaos or with violence, that amygdala becomes
Mm.
overreacting, right? Because it's on hyperdrive now. And the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that helps you to be reflective, make good choices, not be impulsive, that part gets underdeveloped,
Mm.
right? And
Okay.
so now
Okay.
you're moving through life with this overdeveloped amygdala, which is like that part of you that's like, I'm ready to fight, right? It's
Mm.
never learned how to slow down, how to find the balance between the two. And again, in childhood, maybe it was adaptive because I need to be hyper vigilant in this environment. I
Right.
need to constantly be surveying for, where am I safe? Where am I not safe? But then when you
Right.
take that into adulthood, it wreaks havoc.
It wreaks a lot of havoc. It wreaks a lot of
Absolutely.
havoc. And I think for me, it's just, and part of my message is you just have to decide. It's not about the knowing how. It's not about the having all the answers. It's just deciding
Yes.
that I no longer want to be that.
Yes.
And then from there, it's you have to have some level of faith, right? To say, Lord, I trust you.
Right.
You have to trust something bigger than you.
Absolutely.
And part of the gambling, and maybe this space where I learned, now that I heard you say that, when I was gambling, I couldn't stop.
Hmm.
I couldn't stop. I mean, I felt like a crackhead, girl.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, there were times where I wanted to, I just, the urge just took over me. And I tried to stop myself so much that I would sit in a corner and just rock and say, I don't want.
Mm. Yeah.
But that thing in me was bigger than me.
Yes.
I tell you, it was bigger than me. And one day, and this leads into finding that space to relieve the pressure.
Hmm.
God is so good because he will send you what you need when you need it. They say
Amen.
he is never late, but he's always on time.
Yes.
And I was struggling, and when I was ready to commit suicide, I heard a voice
Mm.
inside of me. And the voice said to me, and I literally I said, "Lord, I'm so sorry, but I'm not
Mm.
strong enough for this." And I tell you, as me and you are talking, I heard in my spirit, "You haven't trusted me
Mm.
and you haven't tried me, but the day will come when you will no longer suffer." And I held on to that.
Wow.
It wasn't my strength. It was that word that I knew, that I heard. And one day I was struggling real bad, and I was in one of these chats. I went into one of these Gambler Anonymous
Okay.
chats. And these guys, honestly, I don't know, they were taunting me. They were taunting me. And there was a woman in there, and she came to my defense. She saw what was happening, and she said, "You guys are taunting her, and what you're doing is not right."
Mm.
And she put her phone number in that number in that chat, and she said, "Call me." And the place that I was in a room. I have four kids. The kids was small. I was
Okay.
in the dark room. I was in this dark room, like just miserable. And that woman said, "Call me." I
Wow.
was looking for a lifeline. I called that woman. This was a woman from Canada, I believe.
Okay.
And I told her, I said, "I can't stop gambling. It's bigger than me, it's stronger than me, and I'm not strong enough." And I said, "I've gone to meetings. I've done everything. I've turned over all my money.
Right.
I, I've done everything." And every now and again, somebody will say something that resonates in me.
Okay.
You know what she said to me, and I use it to this day. She told me her story. She told me her story. But what she said that shot up in my bones, she said, "You know what I have to tell myself?
Mm.
When that gambling thing come on my back like that, I have to talk to it, and I tell it, Not today, maybe.
Mm,
When I tell you that saves my life to this day,
wow.
that I haven't gambled in a long time and I don't have the urges, but sometimes when life start lifing
Yep. You can feel
and
that little,
that thing is still in there. And there are times where I have to tell it, not today, maybe tomorrow, but it gives you that what you just said, that
yes,
pressure release. It acknowledges that it's here.
right.
You acknowledge that you're feeling overwhelmed, but the maybe tomorrow gives you space. It gives you
Yes.
just a little
Yes.
bit of
Just enough.
room, just enough.
Yep.
And that space is you have to take it. You have to find ways to take it.
Yes.
So, can you just I
I,
know we got about 10 more minutes, but can you talk about
okay.
that space a little bit more?
Yeah, I love that story because one, it's just so real, whether it's gambling, whether it's drinking, whether it's sexting, whatever it is, right? The vices
Mhm.
that we use to try to regulate our nervous systems, to try to soothe, really,
Mhm.
right? It's
Mhm.
an unhealed nervous system that is so real. And
Mm.
it becomes an addiction. And it much as we want to stop, like once this kind of gets stuck in the brain, it's hard to break from that, right? And just say,
Mhm.
okay, that's it, I'm done. It's not realistic sometimes to just say, cold turkey, I'm done. Some people can, but it's rare. So the fact that this woman said, not today, maybe tomorrow, right? It was like it empowers you for this day. Like, I don't have to look at this that I'm making a commitment for the rest of my life. That can feel overwhelming. And you
Yes.
don't believe it yourself,
No,
but I can believe not today.
not
And
today.
then that maybe tomorrow gives me another opportunity to then say to that day, not today, maybe
Today.
tomorrow, right? And just kind of taking it step by
Mm.
step by step. I think that piece
Mhm.
is so important. But that pause
The
is
pause.
so necessary, right? To be able to slow down. There is a quote, and the gentleman, it's an African psychologist. His first name is Bio. In this moment, the last name, I'm blanking on it. But based on West African philosophy, he says the times are urgent. Let
Mm.
us slow down.
Let us slow down.
And I love it because in our culture, we think the times are urgent. Come on, let's get moving, right? What do we got to do? And when you're
Right.
trying to go too fast, you skip steps, you get sloppy. It's not able to really like cement in. But when we slow down and pause and ask ourselves the hard questions and get the support that we need, we can trust that change that's going to
Yes.
happen more than when we try to rush through,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Exactly. That is exactly, and that's part of some of the core values and coming up with chaotic vibes and understanding that, baby, that chaos ain't going nowhere.
Mm-mm.
The demands in life ain't
Nope.
going nowhere. That husband still might leave. You still might lose that job. Things still fall apart.
Yes.
But we can take our power back. And part of it is we have to be, and I'm big on mindfulness
Mm-hmm.
because it's about, and that, in my healing, I've learned that we have to be mindful. Survival is moment by moment.
Yes.
Sometimes it's in the breath. We say
Bre-
one day at a time,
breath
sometimes
by
it's
breath.
one
Yes.
breath at a time. When
Yes.
I was going through divorce and my mom needed a heart transplant, the kids were small, I was at work, I was all of this. And it was just, I remember saying, I can only do this breath. And I would
That's it.
take that and those gulps, when you gotta, it's so overwhelming that
Yes.
swallow is hard.
Yes.
And I would just say, Lord, I trust you in this breath because
That's
I don't
it.
have a moment. And sometimes we don't have a day.
No.
We only have this moment. So as part of the chaotic vibes is just taking accountability and being honest about what you need in the moment
Yes.
and giving yourself permission to say, this is what I need,
Right. And
right?
I love that you're bringing in this mindfulness piece and bringing in the breath
Yes.
because you're right. A lot of us don't have the luxury, the privilege to be able to carve out a whole self-care day, vacation, but it's like in the midst of the chaos, what can support me?
Right.
And that taking that breath, like, the space between the inhale and the exhale, sometimes just that space in between is a moment that you just get to, right?
Just
And I
pause.
often tell my clients, just something so simple, right? Take your hand and put it on your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Just to one, this is a way of coming back into a remembrance that I'm here in the midst of all this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
here. I'm worthy of my own love and my
Mm-hmm.
attention. And just pausing here for a moment, taking that breath, and like you said, asking yourself, what do I need right now?
Right. Right.
Right?
And that's it. And it's giving yourself and, on the website, chaoticvibes.com, as part of the core values, it is about accountability. It
Yeah,
is about being vulnerable and being
absolutely.
honest, and not to anybody else, but to yourself first.
Yes.
To yourself, because sometimes, a lot of times, we show up in places and we don't know how to vocalize. But you know what? You can take a breath to say, this doesn't feel good.
That's it. That's it. Listening to the
That's it.
body.
Just give yourself permission to say, this doesn't feel good.
You don't have to know why, but just trusting that inner knowing, that cue that your body is giving you
Yes.
is
Yes.
essential, you know?
Creating a space. And as chaotic as my mind is, and I still work through a lot of things, but mindfulness helps.
Yes.
I am shocked. What I tell you, I pray, and I'm a very spiritual woman. I ain't gonna
Hmm.
say I'm religious in any way, but I am very spiritual. And meditation has changed.
Mm,
When I tell you, meditation has changed my mind, and I'm one of those children where my mind is always going.
yeah,
I have trouble focusing. I had trouble doing all of those things, learning. But it
right.
was when I gave myself permission to say, you know what? I'm not like everybody else. I have to give myself permission to learn a different way. And the moment and literally when you come to accept it, it's
Yeah,
like a switch. You
absolutely.
give yourself permission to say, I don't learn like them. This is how I learn. Once I've done that, I've always been on the dean's list. And I was
Mm,
considered slow in school. I've always been on the dean's list. I excel at everything that I do, but it's because I gave myself permission to
yes,
be who I am, and I honor my pause, and I
that's it.
honor the moments.
That's it.
So
Yeah,
that's
you've
what I
learned
want
to
people.
be
Hmm.
in relationship to yourself, right? And that is literally the most important relationship outside of that with your higher power, but that relationship with self, because I can only go as far with you as I've gone with myself.
Yes.
So if I
Yes.
don't know how to sit with my own feelings, if I don't know how to set boundaries for myself,
Hmm.
all that is going to bleed into these other relationships,
Yes.
right? So
It
taking the
is.
time to get to know, who am I? Not who have I been told, but in my core, right? That God
Mhm.
in me, who am I? What matters to me? What are
Right.
my values? And am I living in accordance with that truth?
Right.
And once you get those pieces braided together, girl, doesn't
And
mean that
that's,
struggle isn't going to come,
oh
but I
no.
hold myself differently in it
Right.
because I know who I am and I know whose I
Right.
am.
Right. And it's just one step at a time.
That's it.
And what I just want to leave the audience with, at Chaotic Vibes, that's what it's about. It's about holding a space for you not to be okay.
Yes.
Holding a space to say, I'm going to take my pause. I don't know how, but I'm going to take the pause, and creating a community where you're not alone. It's
Yes.
okay to say, I messed up, and not be judged, and not, but for you to have a space to figure it out yourself,
Yes.
and have the love and support to say, we got you. And,
Absolutely.
on the chaotic vibes. And Tamika, I'm sure this won't be the last time to kind of help us unpack, the journey, because the goal is to bring people on to tell their story in a way that is unapologetic.
Yes. Yes. And I
Because
would
it's,
be remiss if I didn't just put this one point out there
yes,
because we spend so much time talking about how these beliefs get formed in childhood. But I also
yes.
want to say that these beliefs, we're not stuck with them,
Hmm.
right? Even if we've internalized them, we've carried them for years and years, our brain is like plastic, right? And
Mm,
so it is literally able to rewire new pathways that help us to forge new beliefs about ourselves by
Yeah.
repeating, right, these messages that counteract what the messages were that were keeping us small. And
Right.
so, to
Right.
your point of bringing in meditation, bringing in affirmations, even if you don't believe the stuff right now, speak that stuff over your life, speak that stuff over your spirit repeatedly, because you
Yes.
literally will help your brain to rewire itself so that you're
Exactly.
no longer living in that shrunken, small
Yes.
place.
And that's it. And I'm 50. I'm just now, I never knew about creativity or anything, baby. I've been a mama since I was too young to know. But it's beautiful. I want to show you what's been coming out. So I'm in my garage where I'm hoping to be my studio. I'm going to turn the
Okay.
computer around. I hope I don't mess it up. But I've been doing art, and Kwame encouraged me. She said, just surrender
Oh, I
and
love
ask
it.
the spirit to I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to do anything. But baby, I want to show you
Let
what's
me
been
see,
coming.
Kenyatta.
This is my wall. And now let me move this. Look
Kenyatta.
at this.
Wow.
My whole wall.
Wow.
And it's just, this is what freedom looks like to me.
That's it. That
And
is
letting yourself
liberation.
heal and remember and not letting the past and the hurt determine
Oh,
your future. And that there is always, like you said, opportunity to create new pathways. Opportunity, because let me tell you, the old me, I don't feel those feelings. I don't think those
no.
thoughts. And gambling no longer has a stronghold on me. And I am
Amen.
trusting God for freedom in my whole family. I want to thank you for
Thank
taking the
you,
time.
sister.
And I'm sure I'll be inviting you more to
I would
help
love to come
moving
back.
forward. Just, there's so much to unpack. You
Absolutely.
know,
And thank you for your
especially through
sacred yes.
meditation. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
No, that's all good. All good. Just saying,
Mhm.
just thank you for your sacred yes, because you being willing to be this honest, right,
Mhm.
about where you've been, the mistakes you've made. It's not an easy thing to do. And I know
No.
that the people that are listening are hearing and sensing parts of themselves in you. And that's another layer of your healing, right? To
Yes.
know this isn't what,
Yeah.
it's not just about me,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
It's
about
not.
living into my truth so that other people can live into theirs. And I just applaud you so much,
Thank
sister. And I am
you.
just
Thank you.
praying
Thank you.
for the growth of this movement that you are
Yeah.
starting.
And I hope, you do retreats. I swear that it's like, I hope we can partner and
Yes,
we can
let's talk.
retreat and get the sisters together, that those that are willing and those that are wanting to take a chance on themselves,
Yes,
um, to create a new pathway,
that's it.
you know, listen, they told us who we were, but we're going to let them know who we are,
Who we
who God made us.
exactly.
So thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
what would you leave? So your last little bit, what would you leave your audience with? A one nugget of advice.
Hmm. One nugget of advice is to trust your inner knowing. We all have this GPS system that God has blessed us with. And I think from an early age, we learn how to mute it. But if you can get still, if you can get slow, like Kenyatta was talking about, and just listen to what that inner knowing is telling you, it will not lead you wrong.
Never,
Trust it.
never. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tamika Jackson. I look forward to speaking with you again.
Same here, Kenyatta.
Bless.
Be blessed, girl.